Oh, hello. Today we're getting back on the battle report bandwagon with a battle report between my Novitiates versus Zimbad's Warpcoven. So, a little bit of backstory here. Myself and Zimbad and Mrs. Tabletop Impulse are off to the Kill Team Tournament event at Warhammer World that's happening in, I think, 3 or 4 weeks. Um, Zimbad's hoping to bring Warpcoven. I'll be bringing my Novitiates. Mrs. Tabletop Impulse will be bringing Harlequins. We have not managed to get a lot of practice games in. This is my second game of Kill Team of this year, recording in February. One against Mrs. Tabletop Impulse and once against Zimbad, just because sometimes life gets in the way, right? I'm actually preparing to move house and all kinds of other things at the moment, so this was a really fun game, a really great practice game, and I'll try, in my usual style, to cover it in the best detail that I can. So on the screen now, on your left, you can see how things were deployed at the start of the game, and on your right, you can see how they ended up at the end of the first turn. So I'm going to pick up my pen and try and explain what is going on. So we are playing Duel of Wits. So you've got 5 objectives. Each of the objectives in the middle, so that's this one here, this one here, this one here, can be selected to be a priority objective. When the priority objective is activated using an action point, it garners you a command point and a victory point. There'll be 2 priority objectives every turn out of the 3 that I've highlighted, one selected by each player. The 2 home objectives that I'm highlighting in red are ineligible to be classed as priority objectives. In terms of secondaries, I had the hold the middle. I had the 2 of the sisters specialty ones, one for having miniatures be removed while they're within white of the centre of an objective, and one for actually selecting an objective at the start of the game, 1 victory point if you achieve that objective, and any point, and 1 victory point if you're holding it at the end of the game. For my specialty objective, the one in my deployment zone in red was ineligible to be chosen. I chose the one in the middle, so I could try and score that with the same time as holding the middle, so it was kind of an eggs in one basket kind of strategy. Zimbad, funnily enough, also had hold the middle. He also had hold the line, so I had to not be within red of his deployment zone, and he selected and he also selected the one, I forget the name of it, but the one where essentially he scores points if I don't kill one of his models in a turn, so I have 2 turns without me killing his dudes. In Zimbad's words, he says that the Thousand Suns objectives all really suck, so he much prefers just to take 3 from his security deck, which, as we think anyway, is the strongest deck. So on to deployment. So again, the deployment zones are kind of this line here and this line here. I have a lot more models to deploy, so I obviously, you can see in the picture, had a pre-game dash. This here, I'm just going to swap colour again. This here is my Eviscerator. Here you have the lady with the whips, whose name I can never remember, to the point of it kind of being a meme. Here we have the medic. This is the lady with the mace. This is my leader here. Over here we have the sniper, the radio operator, the duelist, the banner bearer is here, and this one is something else. Gosh, whoever I've missed out. Yeah. So, my thoughts basically, I need to hold the middle. So I'm going to do my usual trick that I try and do every game. Use the whips to whip the Eviscerator up so she can do a really long move into the middle and activate the center objective. Okay, I'm going to try and get my sniper up onto the vantage point by using the radio operator to give her an extra move so she can dash move and still potentially shoot at something. I plan to send the radio after it had used its, I should call them the proper names really, the Dialogus, but yeah, the radio after it had used its ability around here, and also the duelist around here with a view to capturing this objective here later in the game. And really my plan was to hold these 3 objectives, okay, and leave these 2 down here to Sinbad. In the middle here, vague plan was just to bring all of this stuff up into the middle in support of the Eviscerator going up into the first turn, and to then bring the leader. Originally the plan was just to kind of park the leader here and use the plasma pistol with the range removed to have a kind of extra ranged weapon. That was my plan. Sinbad had his models kind of deployed down here. Obviously he didn't tell me his precise plan, but it was evident throughout the game that one of his sorcerers, I think this one, although I'm sure he's going to correct me in the comments, is going to fly up here, okay, do sorceress things and fly back. He did that on at least 2 turns in a row, okay. Oh yes, this model here is of course Cup Lady, who's going to stand on this objective and generate faith points for pretty much the entire game. So let's look at how things were at the end of the first turn. Some successes for me and some failures, essentially. So I was able to, there she is, to get my Penitence up into the middle, right where I wanted her to be. She had been whipped. The whippy lady ended up here, so moved forward and whipped there, and she ran forwards like this. You can see that there's some wound dice here. These were essentially all caused by the, as I described, his sorcerer kind of flew up, did the AoE barrage power, dropped it down, managed to do a couple of wounds here. No casualties in the first turn. Managed to do a couple of wounds on me here. Otherwise, there wasn't really a lot of action. My leader moves up a little bit. The banners come across here. The Cup Lady's here on the point doing the things that the Cup Lady likes to do. For Sinbad's part, he's moved his models up, so he's got a Rubrique here, another Rubrique here, a Sorcerer here, there's another Rubrique here that sort of wishes he could get near enough to this objective but can't quite make it, and he's got 2 Sorcerers that you can't see that are kind of sheltering in this building. Round here, I've sent my duelist and there's my radio operator as I'd planned. They're here waiting to head towards this next turn. The one part where I was thwarted, I had planned to get my sniper up onto this vantage point. However, the Thousand Suns Warpcoven have this spell that they can do every single turn, which just reduces your dash down to black 1 inch, and without that full dash I just wasn't quite able to get into contact with the base of the ruin and up the ruin and over onto the top of the ruin. So even though I had the 3 action points to let me do a move and a dash and potentially a shoot, because of that spell I just wasn't able to get up there, which I should have seen coming, but I say it's a long time, especially since I played against Warpcoven, so I kind of just had to mill around at the bottom here and not be able to get that threat up this turn. It didn't make a massive amount of difference to me, but it is what it is. Okay, so there's the position at the end of turn 1. I'm quite happy. I'm holding the middle, so I've scored a point for the that was my priority objective, so I flipped that over and scored a point. I scored a point for my secondary for being on the middle and having more AP within blue of the middle than anyone else, and I've scored a point for holding my special nominated objective from my secondary. So I'm thinking it's going really well. It is a repetitive tactic, kind of leaping the Eviscerator forward like a missile. You can tell that she's kind of overstretched, she's kind of out of support, she is very fragile, and we'll see how that plays out in turn 2. So over to turn 2. Obviously, for those of you that are not familiar with my format, I know it is really quite hard to follow. The picture on the left-hand side is exactly the same one as was on the right-hand side at the end of last turn, and then over here on the right we can see how things were at the end of turn 2. So there's a couple of things have gone on. First of all, you can see here my Eviscerator came forward, charged this Rubrique. I got the first turn and was able to wipe out that Rubrique. So he has gone at this point, okay? Which is why this Rubrique here has moved up here, okay? This Rubrique here has moved here to where he basically held the rest of the game within circle of this objective. So that's him there on this side, and that's him over there on this side. Now the Eviscerator ended up getting killed because she was kind of out in the open, having charged off the objective. She got shot by the Rubriques, and in fact this Sorcerer here used Doom Bolt as well. Okay, so not very not very good. I kind of knew she was going to die. She was kind of intended for her to get up there and then have to sort of be a missile in turn 1 and then struggle after that. That was kind of always in the plan. We took another blast. I believe it was on the Relic Seeker, the Cup Lady. Took another blast from this Sorcerer that you can't really. Oh no, he's up here now. This Sorcerer who is using that blasty barrage power. That's where a lot of these wounds have come in from. Okay. I did manage to get my sniper up onto the vantage here. Didn't manage to really accomplish anything with the sniper though, so she's up there with vantage to this whole area, but didn't really manage to accomplish much else with her. Zimbad's third Sorcerer is knocking around in the picture somewhere, I think under this building, I think where you see this little pink slip of paper. Again, generally, other than that, I'm trying and failing, I guess, to move up and support. So I've managed to get the whipping model up. There's a lot of play, at least on 2 occasions, where more things should have died to the barrage psychic power, but I had my medic knocking around there for a long time, kind of bring people back alive onto the 1 wound. You can see, if I very quickly compare the other images, that I have lost another miniature somewhere. I think that the mace lady who was giving a lot of re-rolls, who ended up here for a little while and then was finished off because she was on 1 wound. You can see here she's on 1 wound, and she was finished off here, I think, by this Rubrique. I think that's what happened. Essentially, though, Zimbad is shooting and firing psychic powers, trying to thin out the middle. Can't really do anything about this for this turn, but ultimately I couldn't bring enough stuff up into the middle. So you can see my problem here at the end of the turn. This Rubrique is within circle, and of course having more APL than my whipping miniature, he just can't, he's then got that objective. So I had 2 objectives, he had 2 objectives, no one's scoring the 2 points there, but he's able to come in and have this centre objective, which I'd declared as my priority target, so I couldn't activate it there. And really, whilst, and I apologise for not remembering the blow by blow, but essentially the big misplay here was this area where I was busy keeping stuff alive from the various shots and psychic powers that Zimbad was throwing my way. I kind of failed to keep my key pieces alive. I perhaps used faith points to stop attacks coming in and to mitigate damage on models and spread myself too thinly, and I wasn't thinking enough about which miniatures I'd need to actually get up and activate that central objective. You know, things like being able to use Mistress of Repentance, the trainee Mistress of Repentance, to give someone an extra action point so they could move up, maybe hit the objective. Not thinking too much about making sure I had a model that wasn't wounded, that could actually get the full 3 circle to get up there and get onto the objective. I ended up getting up there with the Mistress, who's kind of in the middle, but she wasn't enough to contest the objective by herself, and she didn't have the range. She's moved and dashed to get to this position here that she's in, so she didn't have the range to actually tag the objective and get me the victory points. So I ceded the victory point there. So Zimbad managed to get 2 that turn, 1 from stealing the centre, 1 from there. I failed to score anything this turn, I think. No, I got to flip over my secondary that's related to miniatures dying near objectives, but I failed really to score anything else there. You know, we're tied on the number of objectives. He's got both the points from the priority targets. He's got a point from holding the middle this time instead of me. I did kill a rubric, so I denied him I forget the name of it, the one for not having your characters die. But I didn't obviously get within red of his deployment zone, so he scored that one as well. So a good scoring turn for Zim, and a slightly poorer scoring turn for me. Really, I think the main thing again was a misplay in this orange circled area. Not as in I played something wrong, as in I was just playing badly. I kind of wasn't used to managing my various resources, which if you play Novitiates, you've really got to be on top of managing those resources. Sorry, I don't remember a play-by-play of exactly which psychic power went where and did what, but that is the broad thrust of what happened. We're going to go on to turn 3. So again, it's the same picture from the other side of the slide from turn 2 on the left, and the final positions at the end of turn 3 on the right. And in some respects, there's not a lot has changed. With the cup here, you can see, by the way, let me just erase that for you. You can see, by the way, this token here signifying 1 action point. That's because during that mass ranged attacking that Zim was doing in turn 2, the cup, the relic seeker actually died and was brought back by the medic, hence the -1 action point. She's still there, just sitting on that objective doing her thing. The sniper is still up there, sitting and doing her thing as well. I did manage, let me think here. So the duelist, at the very end of the turn, I kind of pressed the objective, I moved a bit forward with a view to in turn 4 being able to do a scramble over and threaten this if Zimba managed to get anything into the middle, because you can see by the end of this turn basically everything has been dislodged from the middle. I tried to come up with my leader, and my leaders died, and I tried to move pieces into the middle, and really they're just continually being repelled by the Thousand Suns. I have killed another, so this Rubrique, who's here, he was killed by the character with the whip came in, I charged him, stood within blue of him and did a ranged attack, right? And that took off his remaining kind of 3 wounds that you can see there from the end of the previous turn. So that's where he's gone. So I did kill a Rubrique, but in exchange, Zimbad's removed quite a lot of the pieces now from this main middle area over the course of this turn, just from shooting attacks with those bolters. Those bolters are really vicious with the AP -1, with ranged attacks, with at one point a flamethrower attack, which was pretty brutal. So I had the whip lady up here, and I brought my banner up, who you can see is kind of coming along the back here, and she was up beside him. And this sorcerer here has a flamer. I used to flame the whip the first time, and then foolishly I then moved my banner up. I had two together, and you can see the banner was here on 5 wounds from that barrage power. He used the flamer a second time. He's managed to kill off both of those models. That was kind of dumb of me not to realise that was going to happen with that Overwatch. But you know, you live and learn. My medic here was killed off by the fire from this Rubrique here. And then, yeah, that's essentially where we are with that. So I believe there's now a sorcerer here, a sorcerer here, a sorcerer here, and 1 Rubrique here. There's nobody holding the middle. Zimbad's got 2 points because he's now got 2 objectives, so he's now got this objective and this objective, whereas I'm holding this one and this one, so it's a draw again on that. Nobody's scoring that. Zimbad and I both had these kind of objectives here, so this turn we had this one and he had this one set as the priority, so we've both scored our priority. No one's holding the middle. I've killed one of his marines, so he's not scoring that, but I'm nowhere near his deployment zone, so he scored his 2nd point from that. So that was that one done. Yeah. So again, a pretty even turn in many respects, turn 3, but I think you can see that just in terms of the scoring, but overall he has managed to just remove with his powerful shooting too many of my models, really, to make turn 4. I don't think it was a foregone conclusion. We did play turn 4, as you'll see, but I think turn 4 I really had to have a little bit of luck, as well as playing very well to be able to kind of pull it back. By the end of turn 3 we were even for victory points, though. We both went into turn 4 I think on 7 VP. So turn 4, and you can see what happened. Essentially, you know, not a lot's changed. Cop Lady's still here, and Sniper is still here, okay, doing their thing. All that's really changed is the radio operator that I didn't even mention last time, who was kind of milling around at the back buffing various people. She has moved. She's tried to come through this door to here to tag that objective, because that was set as my priority objective. I was hoping to, as I said, move this, scramble over and get there. Didn't even get to that point because this sorcerer has come up from kind of here. This sorcerer here is now here. He came up, flamethrower, flame pistol attack there, managed to one-shot that essentially. No, wasn't a one-shot. It was finishing off after some other ranged attacks had gone in. The sorcerer that was here jumped down to here and also ranged magical attacks on my sisters, and this one here has just crept round here just to stand on the objective here. So a reasonably decisive win for Zim in the end, but going into turn 4 it was very close, although he had obviously the advantage on the tabletop. Really, my only hope, you know, is this crossbow, right? Had twice in that game a couple of shots, but it's absolutely nothing. I know I shouldn't complain as Novitiates, but it's quite difficult to wound Thousand Suns with shooting, as much as it can be quite difficult to wound Novitiates with shooting as well. And the crossbow, my opponents always tend to fear the crossbow, but it's just that, you know, the damage is 2-3, and yes, the crits have the 2 mortal wounds, so it's like damage 2-5. But if you don't get a crit, right, you're going to struggle. And yes, you can use your faith points to buy a crit, and you can. I even usually give her the equipment so she can get a free faith point. Always use the expensive 3.1 to give her the crit, but it just wasn't enough. Wasn't enough to do what I needed to do, which was to take out, you know, take out just one of his pieces, just so I get a bit more freedom around the board. But nevertheless, it was a really, really fun game. Really glad to get back into Kill Team, actually playing it rather than just thinking about it and talking about it. And I hope that you enjoyed the videos. I always think that these videos are kind of rough. I think the battle reports are some of the worst videos that I do. And Zimbad actually said to me today, I wonder how many people that watch them that think you're doing a bit, that think it's like a comedy routine, because these are not the sort of videos that people that want to watch battle reports watch. But on the other hand, I always get a lot of really nice feedback, and a lot of people that watch the videos and watch them all the way through to the end. So I guess like precision and brilliant memory of exactly what happened and which powers were used and which guns were shot isn't maybe required. It would be nice when I move house and I have a bit more space for Warhammer if I could do battle reports in another kind of format, maybe a longer format where more stuff is recorded, but I don't know. That's all very pie in the sky at the moment. So final thoughts. You know, it wasn't the best game of Kill Team in terms of. I made some tactical errors. You know, Zimbad wasn't playing. He was kind of playing with one arm tied behind his back a little bit because he's got his 3 painted Thousand Suns with bolters, so he didn't have the rotary cannon. He didn't have the icon bearer, which just means that he was playing with less things than he could, and he still managed to beat me. So that, you know, he's always been somewhat the better player, so that just goes to show there. I think he's also a little bit rusty as well on a couple of things. We had to sort of check out a couple of things with laser lines and figure out again how exactly line of sight worked in a couple of occasions. But overall, it was a really enjoyable and good close game. I find all my games against 2 bespoke teams are really enjoyable and really close with lots of different things going on. Just one final thought that I had when I was playing this game. I'm playing a game against 6 Space Marines. 3 of them are sorcerers who are really, really hard to hurt, who have some really good offensive capability, and yet over and over again people say online, oh, there's no bespoke elite team. I wonder how they're going to do a bespoke elite team. You know, the Warpcoven are a bespoke elite team. We take 6 Space Marines, 3 sorcerers, a heavy weapons guy, a regular fella, and an icon bearer. And if you want to play with an elite team, I think this is your coconut. You know, this is the thing that you want to use. I know online a lot of people say, oh, the best way to play them is to take sorcerers and Zangors, and then they're not elite. But I think, I've just got my ass kicked by it. So I think these 6 model team is a really good team. And on that note, as you can probably hear from my voice, I am quite tired. So on that note, I will bring the video to a close. Just to say that the Noble Knight Games Elephant link that people in America, believe it or not, want to support the channel, so they asked me to set that up. That will now be down in the description and will appear in the description going forwards, even if I don't remember to mention it, along with all the other stuff that's always down there, the Discord, Element Games in the UK. If you liked the video, please give it a like. If you have any thoughts, suggestions, feedback, even if it's that this is terrible and that I should stop doing battle reports, please write that in the comments down below. And I hope you have a great day, whatever you're doing. And I'm looking forward to the next video, which should be coming your way on Sunday. Cheerio, folks.